RPGMaker is like escargot. If you asked a random person if they would be willing to try a dish made from snails, they probably would say something along the lines of, no, or how did you get into my house? RPGMaker is an acquired taste, and it's hard to tell if you'll like any of these dishes if you pull up into the Steam drive-thru like,
hey, can I get a...
Can't decide? Well, hey, that's why I'm here. My name is Delta, I still can't pronounce homage, and this is Hidden Gems. You know, I've been getting torn to shreds by Elden Ring like everyone else, but the funny thing about the RPGMaker games I played this week is that they decided to kick me in my shins and steal my lunch money. Let's start with Cataphract OI. Cataphract was developed by... Listen, Hamag has been kicking my ass for the last 3 weeks. You think I could pronounce this? Isn't that what Nicki Minaj said in that Kanye song?
Pull up in the Sri Lanka. What?
Cataphract is an experimental turn-based RPG escort mission made in RPGMaker 2000. This one. I don't normally play games in this engine, so playing this game kind of took me back to my childhood. Back when I was playing Sega Classics off a CD-ROM I bought in an AJ Wright parking lot. That's all true. If you don't know what AJ Wright is, good. You didn't have to live as a Midwest black kid trapped in the purgatory of late 2000s retail stores. This game reminded me of Shining Force, but I think it was just the art style and sprite work. Cataphract has a very interesting premise. Yeah, it's an escort mission technically, but the focus is placed on the combat and the anxiety of being under a time limit. Cataphract's approach to combat is what hooked me. This game allows you to enter combat, but you're able to strategize before entering the fray. What I mean by this is that there are skills that you have access to that allows you to draw certain allies and enemies into battle, while those out of the fray are able to interact with the encounter while being safe from taking damage. Those who are inside of the fray have more options, and those who are outside have more safety. This alone is enough for me to recommend this game to anyone who tends to like combat-driven RPGs. That being said though, this game isn't perfect. It feels like I caught it in a cocoon state. The game has a cool hook, the combat mechanic is unique and interesting, and the way you actually navigate the map with the haunting sound of Father Time marching forward is something I will always remember, but after dying again, I found myself wondering, what's the point? I read some of the comments from this game's itch.io page, and someone said that they've always liked RPGs but felt like leveling got in the way of enjoyment. Now, this is a really interesting opinion because I don't really understand it. I know different strokes for different folks, of course, but reading the comment left me racking my brain trying to understand how leveling could ruin combat. The only thing I could think of that held weight was becoming overpowered through leveling. This is an issue that could be easily remedied by giving enemies stronger attacks that they only use if your party level reaches a certain threshold. Instead of omitting leveling entirely, I would argue finding ways to punish people for abusing your game's systems is a bit more interesting. That's just my opinion though. The lack of leveling in this game made the encounters feel more like a nuisance because I couldn't really think of any reason to fight them. Sometimes you have to clear them out of a room so you can search it for keys, but most encounters I ran into were not in searchable rooms, so they were just whittling down my resources for what felt like no reason. Also, I wish the party members talked to each other. I'm very big on characters in these kind of games, and that's just a personal grievance. I feel like the developer struck gold with the movement and fray mechanics, but I feel like those things would be amazing in a more traditional RPG. I give it a fat 7.5 out of 10 on the hype scale. I'm looking forward to seeing how the developer grows as they continue to produce. The test was brought to my attention by Markiplier of all people. I love it when YouTuber superstars shine light on the RPGMaker community, so upon seeing his upload, I immediately ran over to Steam and picked the test up for myself. And the test isn't really a game, it's more so an experience. It plays with some psychological horror ideas, but not enough for me to consider the game a psychological horror. The reason I added this onto my list this week is because after I played it, I was actually happy I did. The game told me something that I needed to hear, and I rewrote this section many times trying to figure out exactly how much I should say. Just play the test. It took me 15 minutes to get through it, and I got it on Steam for like $2. Play it yourself out of 10. Again, it's not really a game. It's very short, but it might make someone happy, like how you clicking that subscribe button would make me happy. Did you do it yet? Over 100 of you saw the first episode and only 35% of you subscribed. What the f? Coralina is a wild ride. But let me be upfront with you. This game is a 4 out of 10 on the hype scale. Wait. Let me explain. Coralina has beautiful music. The art style is nice, and it doesn't really feel like anything I've ever played before. But unfortunately, I can't sink my teeth into it because it has a horrendous English translation. I think the original language is Portuguese, and fuck do I wish I could drop all of the game's dialogue into Google Translate. I didn't know what I was getting myself into, and the lack of information is what made me want to power through it. I was able to piece together what the game was trying to say sometimes, but early in my playthrough I found myself at a puzzle that didn't make any sense to me. Granted, I only have 3 brain cells and 2 of them were doing the heavy lifting trying to make sense of the dialogue, leaving the last one to still try to figure out how to pronounce Hamaga. Unfortunately, I tried to brute force it, but to no avail. I hope this game gets a better English translation in the future so I can properly cover it, but until then, 4 out of 10. Facets is extremely underrated. Between you and me, I like to ponder what-if scenarios when it comes to game design. Like I said in the intro, I've been playing a lot of Elden Ring, and these last few days I've been wondering, can something like this work in a traditional turn-based RPG game? After playing Facets, I was convinced. It absolutely can. Facets, funny enough, has a lot in common with Cataphract, but honestly it feels like the missing piece. What I mean is, Facets combat encounters have an explicit purpose, and while you don't level up from these encounters, you're rewarded with lore. Facets battles are more like puzzles where you take the tools you have available to you to overcome battles of varying difficulty. This game is tough, but every time I died, I was driven to retry because that next sweet piece of lore was just on the other side of the hardship. The only issue I had with Facets was navigating the map. This is 100% a me problem because my spatial recognition is horrible. So if we were to take the fray and movement mechanics from Cataphract and combine it with the puzzle-like combat and storytelling of Facets, we would have an RPGMaker Souls-like, which honestly makes my mouth water at the idea. This game is punishing, but don't be afraid to use the guide the game comes with or the easier prepared mode. No one cares, you don't have anything to prove, just play the game in a way that's enjoyable for you. Facets get an 8 out of 10 on the hype scale. Please play it, and the developer has found a fan in me. Magical Disaster X was probably the most fun I had playing an RPGMaker game. It's also under 2 hours. This game is a fun spin on the magical girl genre, and I love everything about it. The art style is simple and benefits the story it's trying to tell. The characters are funny, and I mean actually funny. This game made me laugh out loud unironically 5 times in the first 15 minutes. I showed my roommates some of the footage I recorded for this video, and they laughed even while missing the full context of the jokes. This is a genuinely funny game, and it's funny the entire time. The combat is fun, but it isn't the focus. The well-placed enemies and well-paced world building come together for a fun time if you have about 2 hours to kill. I found a nuclear missile early in my playthrough, and then used it in the next combat encounter, killed myself, and found out I haven't saved in 20 minutes. Normally, I would be furious, but of course something like this would happen to me. This game is a joke, but a good joke that I want to share with all my friends and family. 10 out of 10 will definitely play this again. Winter: A Samurai Tale is my gem of the week. I am betting all of my chips on this game. I have never seen an RPGMaker project like this one, and I want it to succeed. Winter is more like a choose-your-own-adventure book than a video game. And at first, I thought this was a bad thing, but the more I played, I realized that it's a very good thing. This game is like a love letter to Japanese mythology, old samurai flicks, and anime. Anybody who knows me knows I love samurais. My Final Fantasy XIV character is a samurai, my Elden Ring character is a samurai, my fucking background on my PC is a samurai, both backgrounds on both monitors. Play this game if you want something different. The art and music mixes flawlessly with RPGMaker assets, and this is another example of taking an RPGMaker engine and crafting something breathtaking with it. I must warn you though, the demo is still rough around the edges. There are some spelling, punctuation, and grammar errors, as well as a bug where some images failed to load. The game is also slower paced and probably isn't for everybody because of this. The intro cinematic is almost 8 minutes long, and the average gamer probably wouldn't be willing to stick with it because of its very slow start. Despite these little issues, I still recommend this game with all of my being. If you enjoy narrative-focused games, then you should definitely check this out. Winter gets a 9.5 out of 10, and when the product is finished, send me a review code. I'm joking. That was a joke. I'll buy it. I want to support this. There wasn't a Hidden Gems episode last week because I was busy working on a game for Society of Play's Inspire Jam. The prompt for the jam was to create anything directly inspired by something else, and one of my biggest inspirations as a game dev is Legend of Zelda, specifically Breath of the Wild. It all started with me wondering if a Zelda RPG could work. I made a short 25 or so minute proof of concept as to what a Zelda RPG could potentially look like, and I recommend you guys to try it if you haven't already. You guys watched me talk about things I liked and disliked about other projects, so here, I would love to hear what you guys think of mine. Download will be in the description along with the other projects, and I hope you enjoy it. I plan to add 5 more dungeons to the game unless Nintendo decides to shoot my knees off with a sawed-off shotgun, so play it while you can. All that being said, thank you for making it to the end of the video, and if you liked it, leave your boy a like, and if you didn't like it, go ahead, leave a dislike. I won't ever see it. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and notification bell so you won't miss other videos like this one. You have a game that you think I should cover? Did you disagree with my takes? Tell me in the comments. Let's talk about it. Until next week, my name is Delta, and this was Hidden Gems.